Nikkicolesurfer podcast. Today's guest is Polly. Polly is a big wave surfer, and she's been on the North Shore for many years now. And she has a really cool story to tell with the creation of big wave bays, with surfing Nazare, with towing on the ski, and doing all of these amazing trainings to get her to where she is today in her surfing. So I'm super stoked to have Polly on the podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Stoked to have you on today. Let's start with your backstory. How did you get into big wave surfing?
So that's a story that I really like telling. I was born in Guatemala, and in Guatemala, even though we have two oceans, we have Pacific and Atlantic, there's not many there's no surf culture. It's a relatively new sport and it's not popular. So I met this friend from California. She showed me how to surf and she had boards and whatnot. So I used to be a weekend surfer because like the city, you have to go, there's only like how you think about Hawaii, there's like schools every like some sort of miles. In Guatemala, there's only schools and like civilization in the city.
Oh, wow.
So I had to drive 2 hours to go to the nearest beach to surf. And it was just definitely a weekend thing. But since the moment I tried surfing, I was like, oh my goodness, I have to do this for the rest of my life. What do I do for like to be my life? There's no like, I didn't know any other, like there was no professional surfers. There was nothing other than magazines.
Mm-hmm.
And the magazines were not even in Guatemala. We're in the next country, El Salvador, that had more like surf culture. So one time when I was already like 3 years, I've been surfing for 3 years. I was with my surfer friends in my house and we were watching ESPN. It was probably all the ESPN being replayed. And I saw Maya Gaveira, from all people, surfing a wave at Chopu. And I was like,
wow,
what? Is that a girl? Is that a wave? Like I've never seen big waves in my life.
Wow.
And this was before like you can just Google everything. Like this was like, I didn't know where the wave was. I didn't know anything. So when I saw that, I remember the letters and it was like the Billabong XXL Awards at the time. And when I saw that, my vision, everything went like, I need to do that. Like, and that's possible. Like a girl is doing it. Like, and it was so weird that it was just Maya. It was like the moment I turned on the TV. So I asked everybody, like, would you guys do that if you had the opportunity? And everybody said no.
Yeah.
And then somebody was like, would you? And I was like, I would totally do that. And they're like, oh yeah, whatever, liar. And I always like telling the story that that's when I knew I was a big wave surfer. But from that moment to get my first big wave, it was like 12 years difference.
12 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I never had the opportunity.
Let's talk about like that progression. How did it take 12 years? What was your first opportunity?
So I would like to say that for you to be a big wave surfer, it's something that your brain has to want. Like it has to be, your brain has to want it, but your heart has to be able to receive it, you know? You cannot do big wave surfing with your mind, like, but you have to be willing to be, the mind has to be strong, you know, because there's going to be a lot of like ups and downs and physical pain and training and whatever. So after I started getting way more into surfing, I was also partying a lot. In Guatemala, I was not a good kid. I was a troublemaker. So my parents decided that the best thing for me was to go to Europe and finish high school over there.
Oh,
so
wow.
Yeah, so they X'd me out of Europe. I did culinary school. I finished high school, then I did culinary school, and I didn't surf for probably 4 years. And I would always have a picture of Sunset Beach without knowing that it was Sunset Beach on my room. And I was like, one day I'm still gonna do that dream. And then one day I was like, oh my goodness, I'm almost 21 and the dream is like far away. And I was like, I gotta go do this. So I finished culinary school and I told my parents like, I actually found this university in Hawaii and now I wanna do this. I wanna be a nutritionist because it goes good with my career. So they accepted me going to Hawaii, but my goal being here was always to surf big waves.
Yeah.
So I remember the Bethany Hamilton movie came out and I ended up being in Waikiki. And I was like, whoa, this looks nothing like Soul Surfer movie. Like, where am I?
Yeah.
And it was like, I didn't know anything. I've never surfed a big wave in my life, but I would always knew that if I ever got the opportunity, I would go for it. Like, I was like, that's at least that I know. So in Waikiki, I enrolled myself in a longboard contest. It was the China Unamuras contest. And I lost. Obviously, I was not even a longboarder. I just guess I have like a wild like imagination. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go try to do that. And a guy told me like, oh, why did you lose? And I was like, oh, because it was so small. If it was bigger, I would have done so much better. And the guy was like, you like surfing big waves? And I was like, no, but I want to. Like, I would love to learn how. He's like, when Waimea Bay breaks the first roll of the season, I'll take you out. Random stranger.
Way.
And I just said, okay, can I give you my number and you call me? And he's like, but you gotta train. And I was like, I'll train every single day until you call me.
Wow.
And I just trusted that this random person was gonna call me.
Was gonna give you a call back, yeah.
And he actually did. He lent me my first gun. We went out of Waimea Bay. I got my first wave. And probably right now that I think about it, that was probably like pinballs, like the minimal it could like break.
Yeah.
And that was the only time I saw that guy. So it was like,
really?
It was like his purpose was just like taking me out here for the first time. And then that's when I knew, like, I was like, this is it. And I was like, I'm gonna commit. It's gonna take probably 10 years for me to get good because I don't know anything about anything. And I didn't train, like I didn't know how to purposely like train for big waves. I was like going to the gym and doing like what I knew what I saw on TV, but not like purposely for big wave training. Mm-hmm. And then multiple things happened in my life that it's just like the right person appeared, and then that's how I ended up surfing big waves.
Amazing. So you meet this guy on the beach on the longboard contest. He's like, okay, well, if she really wants to surf big waves, I'll take her out on a big wave day that's actually like a small big wave day.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Just to give you that entry opportunity. And then you never see him again, but you made that promise to train every day, even when you didn't know big wave surfing training. What were you doing?
I was so committed to like, it was crazy because before I don't even have that laser vision anymore because life gets hard in big wave surfing, you know? But when I was young, I was like I am gonna surf big waves, and I would do like certain things that I was like, now that I think about it, I'm a psychologist right now. I was like, whoa, I really did create my destiny. Mm-hmm. It was sad that at some point I got disappointed about like circumstances or like results or this and kind of like that. Because if I still had my laser vision, I don't know where I would be right now. I just knew that I trusted that was gonna happen. Like I was like, I just know this is gonna happen. And I would like go pick up a dress and like save for my dress. And I was like, when I get invited to this event, and I'm gonna wear this dress. Mm. And like my first day of school, our first homework was about Eddie Cow. And that's how I knew that I was gonna surf Waimea Bay, because the guy told me, I'm gonna take you to a place called Waimea Bay. So my first day in school, when the teacher gave us this documentary, it was called 30 by 30. Mm. And it was like me, Eddie Cow, Hawaiian legend. I was like, this is a sign, like this is where I'm gonna go. So I knew that this is all gonna happen. And there was no room for question. And at some point I met my mentor, Sylvia Nabuco. Mm-hmm. And she was the one that started guiding me, like, you gotta train this way, you gotta do this. And she used to be an Ironman competitor. Okay. So she knew how to train. And she was like, I am gonna take you out, but if you do what I say. And then she lent me boards, she lent me my first vest, and that's how I got more like into the big wave surfing. But it was really hard because my family was really against it. Everybody was like, what are you doing? You know, I come from like a place where surfing does not exist. Mm. So if I tell them like, hey, I got a really big wave, they're like, okay, like.
They're like, why?
Like, when are you gonna get married? Like, what are you doing with your degree? Like, and also I had a really comfortable life, and I hate saying this, but most people have to like give a lot in a certain way to get to Hawaii. I have to sacrifice a lot. Mm-hmm. Like my dad was like, if you pursue big wave surfing, don't use my last name and I'm gonna take everything away from you.
Wow, that's heavy.
Yeah, so when I was 25, I had that kind of like situation. And I was like, okay, I have a really comfortable life. I never worked until that time, you know? So I was like, I don't even know how to work.
Yeah, because you're in school doing culinary and nutrition.
And I used to have coffee farms before. and they would like pay for everything.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm gonna have to get a job. I don't even know if I'm like,
all the things.
yeah, all the things. And it sounds like ridiculous, but that was my reality. So I was like, you know, I have to commit because I cannot not do what I say I was gonna do. So when I decided, okay, we're parting ways, I'm done with you, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna follow my dream. For me, seeing back in that time, that's the only reason why I haven't quit recently, because I think that little girl, it's so like, I always get emotional because imagine just having the courage to believe in something so much that you say like, I don't care that I'm gonna have to completely change my life for something that it doesn't give me like status, doesn't give me anything. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna get even harder now. If it was hard before, it's gonna get even harder.
Yeah.
But I'm still gonna commit. So my husband asks me all the time, like, why are you don't, like, when are you gonna stop? And I was like, until I make that little girl proud, because she did something that I don't think I would do right now. If my husband tells me like, okay, if you keep on surfing big waves, you don't have a car, you don't have a house, you're done, I'll be like, okay, I think it's done, you know? But like, I feel like I do deserve, like this little girl, she was so brave. She deserves, like, I want to come back in time and be like, thank you, because you believed, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that was kind of like my motivation all the time, is the little girl that decided like, I'm gonna do this. And for me, big wave surfing, you know, I think like I intimidate people and upset some people because I'm so sure of my goals that some people take it as like, oh, she's so conceited, or she's so like, she always says that she's gonna get this wave, or she always kind of like claims what she's gonna do.
Yeah.
And some people are like, I have multiple people that have told me like, you should do it, you should just do it and don't tell it. And I'm like, no, because I have to be 100% that this is gonna happen for me to give it my best. And if I don't care if I upset some people, but if I can inspire other people, because there's nothing extraordinary about me. I'm like, I didn't have talent, I'm short, I'm 100 pounds, and I'm doing a sport that probably is not the easiest for my body type. So if I wanna like do it, I'm gonna do it, because that's all I got. Believe in myself that I'm gonna do it. So I like claiming it, if that makes sense, you know? Like, I think because of that, I was always like one step ahead and one step behind. Like, I would surf way bigger surf than what I should have been out doing surfing. So some people, I got a lot of like enemies on the way, like during my progress.
Okay.
And I was just like, my brain is there, but my body's not there yet. But I promise my brain is gonna get there. And now some of the people that I like didn't like me at first, like older people, were like, oh girl, you prove us wrong. Like, wow, we're so happy for you. And I was like, thank you.
It's such an interesting and delicate balance when you're trying to achieve something that maybe others don't back you for, or others don't believe in.
Yeah.
What advice would you have? I know you have a really strong why, as far as like making that little girl proud.
Yeah.
What advice would you have, or what have you found to be like something to look at beyond your why to keep you going?
So beyond my why, I would like tell anybody that just make a plan, because I noticed that when I make plans on like, how are we going to achieve this goal? I have crazy goals, and I'm going to share one with you.
Okay.
I want to have a record attempt on a tow wave in Nassau.
Okay.
When I tell this to somebody, they're like, wow, you're wild. But like, for me to get to this conclusion, I thought about this maybe 2 months, and I cut my goals into pieces, and then into pieces all the way until days. What do I have to do today to get to this goal? How much money is gonna take me to get to this goal? Like, say, like for the record, for record attempt, because I wanna talk about results after, so don't let me forget. So cutting the goals makes the goal so much easier to achieve, because you just focus on what you're gonna do today. And as long as you do today, okay, today I'm gonna do this, today I'm gonna do this, today I'm gonna do this, in 2 years, there is a goal, you know? And yeah, it could be that something happens that day and like the ski didn't work, but when I get there, my goal, I'm gonna be as ready as I can possibly be. and nothing takes me by surprise because the training is gonna be there. I also said like, okay, when I say like the record attempt, first off, I think about my family. This is gonna mean that I'm gonna spend probably 4 more Christmas without them.
Oh.
This is gonna mean that my daughter, I'm not gonna see her growing as a normal parent would for 4 more years.
Wow.
And those are hard decisions. Then when people hear me say like, I'm gonna do a record attempt, they're like, but like they don't know what goes behind me saying that, you know?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like, I needed to get a jet ski here in order to train because I cannot move to Nazareth.
Yeah.
Then I have to have a team here. Who is gonna be my team here? Then I have to find money to do this, to buy the ski, and then I'm probably gonna have to find money to buy a ski in Nazareth. I need to do so many things for that goal to be possible.
Yeah.
Who's gonna be my driver? In my idea of who I want to be my driver can be this person, but when I get to hang out with the person or when maybe we don't flow, so I have to have like multiple plans that not only depend on me, that I have to make sure that what depends on me is being taken care of. So I like saying that make a plan and cut your plan on like months and hit markers, you know? Because like for me, I don't find motivation on like, how do I train every day, for example? I don't want to train every day. I'm already tired. But the goal requires for me to train every day.
Yeah.
So when I have the goal and I know that I have to go train in order to achieve that goal, it's just so much easier. I just go without questioning.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
You're like, if I'm going to get this record, which is like another why and another big goal, you're like, okay, here's what I got to do on a day-to-day. You break it down into small pieces and say, okay, if I really want this, if I really want to prioritize this, here's the sacrifices I'm going to have to make. Here's what I'm going to have to do when I don't feel like it.
Yes. And I think that's where the power is. Like most of the time, you're not going to feel like it. Like, I don't know that many people know how does it feel to be like in public, getting hit by a 20-foot wave and like breaking something in the middle of an event. And like, it just feels almost like you enter a UFC fight without knowing if you're going to win or lose or like completely get destroyed in front of everybody.
Yep.
And most of the times, there's no winning. There's a lot of learning, and that's winning in a way, but there's no like, yeah, this moment. And the problem with the moments where like I had a great year in 2020 and like I got the best waves, I got invited to every event, I did this, I did that. Matching that takes a lot of other effort, like matching your biggest wave. So it's always like, it's never as easy as like, oh yeah, I got a wave, now what? You know? It's like, okay.
It's like, now I got to do that again. And then
better.
I gotta do better. Otherwise, it's just like, it's like this never ending, like, get better if you want to reach that actual big goal at the end of the day.
And then
it's daunting.
It's really like, and a lot of people get upset when you want to follow your dreams. That's also what I noticed.
Well, I think what I've seen with that is that a lot of times people who gave up on their dreams are the ones that get upset. The people that are further along or pursuing their dreams are not getting upset.
Totally. You know, I remember I'm very good friends with one of the best big surfers in the world, Lucas Chumbo. He has never disencouraged anybody. He's always helping the person in the corner, the person in everybody. He doesn't, if you ask something in Lucas and it's huge, massive, 20-foot, he would go be there and help you. He's never been like, sorry, I don't have time for you. He's like, oh, you should sit over there. And I see him like, no, if you really get the wave, you got to do that. And most of the people that haven't reached their level, they're the ones that were always trying to like, who's this girl? Why is she so sure that she doesn't even have a talent? And like, my mind was really hard, like in the moment, like in the meaning of like, I could stand a lot, but the problem is when your mind starts cracking and you start doubting yourself, because then imposter syndrome comes. And I never suffered imposter syndrome, even when I didn't know what I was doing. And I noticed that when I was just not like worried about other people, I was like making so many mistakes, but I was having fun. I was like, I'm gonna get to my goal no matter what. And then over the years, you're like, I don't feel like I belong here. Like, maybe they were right. Or like,
it wears on you.
It does. And you have to have like a very strong mind because it's a physical it's very like physical on your body too. And also the hits, you get depression, you get like injuries, and some you can control, some you can't, like you get tendonitis. So I'd say like if you have your goals, you have to know that you have to stay strong. And that's another formula.
Yeah, and it's not just the strength of your muscles or how hard you train. It's mental
It's
too.
mental.
It's very mental.
When things get hard, you have to be like, okay, we're still doing this no matter what, you know? We're still doing this. We're still going to the gym, or we're still like, we have to rest for 3 months and you still have to do the work, you know? So I think I always say to people, like, I would consider anybody a big wave surfer that has, as a girl, for example, come back after a pregnancy, come back after a bad injury, come back after the craziest wipeout, come back after, because some people at the beginning, I've seen so many girls come and go. And I was like one of them. When I came, it was easy because I've never been on the 2-wave hold down. I've never had a kid and like, oh my goodness, am I still doing this? You know, like it was just easy. And then after that, I noticed that the ones that stayed were the ones that were willing to put up with the kind of like heavy part of big wave surfing.
Not just the sunny days,
yeah,
the
not
rainy
just,
ones
yeah,
too.
because in reality, there's so many more rainy days than the glory days.
Yeah, but sometimes it just gets heightened, especially in the media, because that's all you see is like everyone's glorious moments. Sometimes you'll see wipeouts or situations, but it's just to like show like a rescue or something. But it's like, it's almost like frowned upon if you show a lot of those bad moments.
Yeah, and you know, that's another thing that I always share with everybody. Like when I had a concussion and I was really depressed, or when I was like talking about how certain people would like try to stop me in the parking lot, and not mentioning names, just like I would say, like, I find it really interesting that even when I came back from Nasser, I came back to surf as well at Waimea Bay. And I was like very sure, I mean, I flew from Nasser to surf Waimea Bay. I was gonna surf no matter what.
Yeah.
And I saw a lot of guys in the parking lot and they were like, are you sure you're gonna go? There's no lifeguards. Like, what if you don't make it out? And I was like, okay, clearly you guys are not gonna save me because you guys are here. So what do you care? And then they were like, kind of like not wanting me to go, because in my brain, what I picture, it was like, if this girl goes, I'm gonna be forced to go. And I don't wanna go.
Yeah, it's an ego thing.
And now that I'm like in a different level in my mind, I can totally see how most of the people that try to stop me, maybe they just didn't want me to try because then they had to try, not even succeed. But it's like, okay, if this little girl that she doesn't have any talent or any knowledge whatsoever, she's gonna go, I have to go and I don't want to. And for me, that's something so crazy. It's like if I tell you, I'm gonna go skydiving, even though I really don't like skydiving, so I need that would create my identity in a way. And then I'm gonna go tell everybody like, don't jump, it's dangerous in the parking lot at the skydiving thing.
Wait, yeah.
It's exactly like that. And I feel like so many people look big wave surfing for identity. And there's nothing more soul crushing than soul surfing for your identity, if that makes sense. So like, I don't know why would people find their identity in that, you know? I feel like it's a very, you gotta make so many sacrifices.
There's so many ups and downs in it too. Your self-esteem would just go through the wash.
Yes, and another thing that I would recommend anybody that wants to surf big waves or do something out of the ordinary, I would say, is like, you gotta be willing to really pay attention to the voices you're following. I actually have a blog about this, and it's called The Voice to Follow. And like, when I'm gonna make a decision, I trust very few of my friends. And because even if you're my best friend and you're afraid of Nasser, you're gonna be like, I wouldn't do that if I was you, you know? Projecting, yeah. And it's not because they don't want me to succeed. It's because, of course, it's dangerous. Of course, I can die, you know? So like, the voice to follow. And most of the time, when I, like, in a short way of saying this, when I'm underwater, the voice that is telling me, you're not gonna black out, you're good, you trained for this, we're good. I mean, it's been a minute, but we're still good. It's my own voice. So when I'm gonna make a really good decision, I'm gonna sit down and just listen to my own voice. What is my intuition telling me? What am I doing this for? And I noticed that something in big wave surfing is like the water is like a catalyst. It projects really fast what you're giving. When you're doing it for the wrong reason, and at some point in my life, I was like, I'm gonna prove everybody wrong. Then that was coming from my ego. I got destroyed in camera, you know? So that's like, I think the ocean is like a very wise, like, it's just like whatever you give, it's gonna give you back. And most of the times, like I got a very good wave and it wasn't filmed. And I was like, okay, because the wave was for me, not to show to anybody. And you just have to know that if you're doing it for the right reasons, not only you're gonna overcome all the obstacles, but you're gonna succeed, no matter what.
So we've talked a lot about the mentality of big wave surfing. We've talked about the physical and mental state of things. What are some of the other things that people don't realize they're getting themselves into when it comes to big wave surfing?
I would say so I tell my husband this, for example. He's like, oh, you spend so much money on big wave surfing and training and all that. And I was like, if I don't spend this much money and doing it right, and I just go out there, I can get so hurt. Like, time and money are required to surf big waves if you really want to do it as a professional sport. And most of the girls don't have a sponsor.
Yeah.
So
what's with that? With big wave surfing, most of the girls don't get sponsors.
So I only think there's one girl that has been, actually two girls that have been sponsored by big wave surfing. And one is Paige Joms, because she's the best. She wins every contest in Maui, and she actually has multiple world titles. And then me, I have an amazing sponsor. Thank you, Monkush. But all the other girls that have sponsors already came with sponsors through another sport. Like Justine Dupont, she was a professional longboarder and paddleboarder, world champion.
Yeah.
Isi Gomez was a stand-up paddler. So what I came to understand is that big wave surfing is a really hard sport to market. How can you market a androgynous person? You don't know if it's a girl or a boy unless they have a pink board and like a pink helmet.
Yeah.
Covered in suits, in flotations, and this is Hawaii. Like, imagine if you go to Nazareth, you don't know who's surfing.
It's just a wetsuit.
It's just a wetsuit and a lot of flotation, and like most of the girls, they cannot be models, so they have to be muscular and thicker
to be able
to
surf the wave, to hold it down.
When I do my best, I'm 15 pounds, 6 kilos heavier than what I am right now.
So do you have to bulk before it gets like big swells?
Yes.
You have to eat a whole bunch of food then. Like, how do you?
I count my macros and I put on weight intentionally before I go into like the winter season.
So kind of like the MMA fighters where they have to get to their fighting weight.
Yeah, because it goes like this if you're surfing every day, you know?
Yeah.
And like, it's different. Like when I surf every day, I don't weight lift that much. So I lose a lot of my muscle and I get lean again. It's kind of like being a runner in a way.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a lot of things that you don't see in big wave surfing, but if you want to catch it all depends on how big is what you're calling big. But like if you want to go out even and get a 25-foot wave at Waimea Bay, I would say that the best chances of you not getting hurt if you put the work before and after. Some girls don't get the opportunity to train and to make it a career because they don't have sponsors.
Yeah,
so
I've seen that. It's sad.
It's really, really sad. And I just feel like I created this brand. It's called Big Wave Babes. And what we want to do with my partner is her name is Delia. And she was the one that noticed. She always had a corporate job. So she only would come and like surf here and there. And then one year she was like, I want to do this for like, I want to have a chance. And she actually got a really big wave, almost Guinness record big.
Wow.
They measured for the Guinness Records book.
Yeah.
And she was like, we have to create our own thing. And like, I was like, yeah, how come every time I get rescued, it's been by a boy? Like every time, water safety are male, jet ski operators, male. Like in Nazareth, everybody, with except a few people, were girls. There was like 3 girls that would surf Nazareth, and then the rest were male.
Most of the girls don't have the initiative or the training, and it's not as like people are more weary of it.
Yeah, and
They're
also
like afraid. So,
you
you don't see it as often. You don't know it's possible.
you have to have a different mindset. Like when I went to Nasser, I reached out to this guy. I reached out to 100 guys. One of them answered me, and I was like, "I want to go train with you. Is it possible?" And like most of the girls don't have the time to take two months out of their schedule to go meet a stranger in Nasser that you saw on
And
Instagram
hope that it's gonna be
and
okay,
hope that it's
yeah.
gonna be okay. So he was actually the guy that gave me the idea, like, you need to start a team of girls, that even if you guys don't win, because like the guy's been doing it for 20 years.
Yeah.
But like I think that would encourage so many other girls in the world to like try. And also then I started like, okay, when I met Delia, she had a different, like a similar idea to mine. And I was like, what if we are the people that, at least at first when we're not professionals, facilitate the introduction with the other people, so people can be like, at least like have a chance, you know? Because if I, like, my husband knows how I am. I'm like, I'm gonna go train with this guy in this place and I'm gonna be gone for 2 months and I'm probably not gonna be on my phone. And like it takes a different kind of like relationship to make that work.
Yeah.
But other girls just have 2 dates and like they don't know the guy, they don't know how to approach the guy. So I was like, what if we start creating like introductions and start creating like a community of girls? Because for me, big wave surfing is a dying sport. You don't see many people since I started 10 years ago.
Starting fresh.
Yeah, it's very rare. And the ones that start fresh, sometimes they're like, oh, it didn't give me money, it didn't give me any, so I'm gonna move into whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't think the sport is growing in a way like it's exponentially growing. I really doubt that there's more than 30 female big wave surfers in the world.
Really?
And
wow.
20 of those have a job that they have to attend Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
So it's not a real sport. And then how to, like, when I ask like brands, like, can you make me a pink wetsuit? They're like, we don't have enough demand for that, sorry. Like, I think that we noticed with Delia was like the Patagonia inflatable. They're only selling medium because they're created for men. So it's actually dangerous for somebody like Delia that's less than 100 pounds to
wear that. It's bigger than she is. Like, that's not.
And they don't do like anything. There's all like black standard. And don't get me wrong, like guys started to lead the way of big wave surfing and we just came along and we're like, I think there was attempts before in the past to do something different, but the attempt was like, we want the same. And I understand, like, yes, we want the same, but you cannot ask for the same, in my personal opinion, if we're so different. Like, I don't want to surf the same day as Billy Kemper. I don't. Some people do, but I personally don't. And I think you can showcase big wave surfing in so much of a feminine way. You don't need 60 feet and a lot of injuries to like showcase what girls are capable of. 20 feet, it's already big enough for a lot of brands to be like, oh, wow, that looks cool. Yeah, let's do that. Usually when events run, they run by law. They have to run it on the same day because it's equal opportunity, equal pay. It's just 1 day event. And it's just kind of like, I've always tried to tell people, like, the same happened with the Eddie. People were like, do you think we should have an Eddie girl winner? And I was like, no, the Eddie was for men. There's one winner. There's not different ages. It's one winner. If you guys want to be equal, one winner, it's what's equal. If you guys think you guys are equal, one winner is what you fought for, and one winner it is. Most likely, Kai Lenny, like people that have sponsors, opportunities, and have done this forever. Are they stronger too? Like, whatever. I was like, instead of fighting the people at the Eddie and like try to make a final for the girls and all these crazy things, why don't you guys create your own for the next day? The next day, it's classic. The waves look bigger than the Eddie because in the Eddie, you just see like so many things going on and like whitewash and everything. The second day after the Eddie, it's always 30 feet, glassy, perfect, gnarly conditions, but not like the day before.
Yeah.
And that's when girls get the best waves. Like, I saw Emily Erickson get bigger waves the day after the Eddie than the day of the Eddie.
Yeah.
And like, you could see it was her, you was like, that's Emmy. The Eddie, you didn't know who was who. And it's always has been a dream of mine. Even when I was an alternate, like, yeah, I would participate in the eddy, but I don't want to take out of the eddy to create, like, I want to create my own.
Yeah.
Because I think that makes the most sense if we want this not to be a dying sport. So yeah, that's why I started this Big Wave Babes, and hopefully it goes good and we can start sponsoring people in the future and like creating our own events and just like make it more like to address the problems that we're facing right now.
Yeah, so instead of hoping and saying, okay, well, you don't see demand, but believe in me, you're saying, okay, I'm going to show you that there's demand. I'm going to build a community for women and support it.
Yeah, so I want to create my own community, and like that's what we did with Delia. And like we do workouts, we do this, we're going to start doing retreats.
Amazing.
And in the retreats, there's going to be like lifeguards showing how to rescue like jet ski operators.
Like the training that you need to be able to get on a ski.
Because sometimes, like, at least on Oahu, other than Delia and Maddie, the lifeguard, because she took all the trainings and stuff, people don't even know how to get on the sled. And that is dangerous.
Yeah.
Like, they don't know how to, and the only reason why I know is because I was so annoying. I was like, uncle, take me out on your ski and take me out on your ski. But no, everybody is like me. Like I said, like, you have to have like a different mindset to be like, hey, can you take me out and tow me into a wave? Like, I think I was 21 the first time I got towed, and like, some girls asked me, can you take me towing? And I was like, I am not there yet, but sure, soon I will. That's the whole purpose of this thing. And they're like, yeah, I never felt comfortable to go with a man. Like, they're all usually older and they have already teens. And when you buy a ski, like now that I bought my own ski, there's so much work. There's so much into the ski that you don't want to take anybody into your ski. So it totally makes sense, you know, why nobody wants to take anybody, you know?
Yeah.
And especially like you take your friends, not the girl that doesn't know what she's doing.
Yeah.
Like, it's so much responsibility. So that's why.
It's someone's life. It's not something you take lightly.
So that's why I want to start like changing all of this. And I have a few brands that are partnering with us. So I think that's good, because that's the beginning, you know, like we don't, like, if you do a collaboration with Big Wave Babe, then we can get this done in a pink or in a small or in an extra small. And they have to like, they kind of like take a little bit of their responsibility away. So I think that's like interesting that some people are very receptive, like, yeah, we just need more demand. So I'm gonna try to show them that there's actually a lot of girls that want to, but they haven't had the opportunity. Yeah.
That's so exciting. You're on the brink of something so good with women in surf community and building out Big Wave Babes.
Thank you.
Tell me more about what we have to look forward to in your surfing coming up in the future this year.
Yeah, so for the future, last year I kind of had a crossroads, I would say. Like, I hit like a moment in my life that I was like, I worked my whole life to one specific goal. It was like to surf the eddy. And last year I was very close. I was an alternate. I was almost there. And then I had this moment of realization, like, you know, I cannot let my future be, like, the ultimate goal be so not in my control. Because like, I can put all this work, I can put all of this, but if you don't get invited, then you're done.
Yeah.
And even when you get invited, things can happen, like, oh, I was pregnant, I broke my foot, and it happens so much.
Yeah.
You would see the alternate list goes like this up, because like accidents happen in big wave surfing. So I was like, I'm almost here in my career, and this would have been what I've been looking for 10 years. But I think I want to switch, because my heart is telling me that I want to rely on my hard work, not on an invitation, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Or not on like something that's so out of my control. Even if I get in, it's 45 minutes, maybe I don't get a wave, you know?
Yeah.
So I wanted to switch, and for me the switch was really hard, because it meant like, I need at least 5 more years for this, and I need a whole bunch of new skills, a new place, somewhere that my paddling doesn't mean anything over there. Like my currency here is like, I paddle, I do this, and over there in Nazaré, it's like, why you paddle? Like, that's kind of wild. Like, yeah, everybody thought I was like, oh, okay, I guess you're gnarly. Yeah, I can train you, but like, you paddle? Like, they don't understand what that is. They already quit paddling so long ago.
Yeah.
So what I want to do is actually do the record attempt. And that sounds crazy because I know how much Maya like fought for it and like the ups and downs. It's probably like another, it's a world that I haven't even had the, just like have a little finger wet in this world. But that's what I've been trying to like to do and focus on managing my time here and there.
Yeah.
And I think next year I'm gonna do a full season over there.
That's so exciting.
Yes, I know. And yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to become a pilot too. And my biggest dream, other than the record attempt, because I might not get it, I want to try though, is to have a team of girls.
That'd be so cool.
International team of girls. So I want to have a warehouse for girls in Nazareth where they can come and train with me and my partner, Micaela or Delia, and have like a system where people, when they want to go, they are going to find people, girls like them, you know?
Yeah, they can be connected. They can go into Nazareth and know that they'll be able to get on a ski and they'll be able to partner and meet some amazing girls and train with them and be encouraged.
Yeah, so that's what I like. My ultimate goal as a person would be the record attempt. And then I'm working really hard to get into being a pilot in Nazareth, which is like,
that's amazing.
A whole new world.
But yes, that's a lot of training and a lot of in-depth analysis of both the bathymetry, the seafloor, the people, the way it breaks. It's so complex over there and it's so beautiful and intricate.
Yeah, so it's gonna take me at least 5 years to try.
Wow.
So a lot of training in between. But luckily, you know, I feel like the hardest part of my life was already over. Paddling here was very hard at the beginning, like the introduction and everything.
Yeah.
In tow surfing, I have been blessed, and I think maybe God was like already like, this girl already had enough hardship on her life. Let's just make it easy for her. I just have been blessed to be training with like the best guys and girls out there. Like I went to Nazareth and everybody like accepted me and greeted me, and like I trained with 4 of the best pilots. And like when you train with people that are so good, it makes your goal like super like, oh, I can do that. If I just do my part, I'm gonna be able to do that.
It puts you in the situation, and when you surround yourself with people that are better than you, like if you're the least knowledgeable in the room, or you're like the smallest big wave surfer in the room, which is both literal and like by the waves of the size of Nazareth and places like that, you get the opportunity to grow because everyone around you has so many experiences and knowledge, and just like it also encourages you because you're like, oh, if they can do all bigger waves than I can do bigger waves too. And
I think that also I wanted to share this with you and like to the audience, like what I notice about the people in Nazareth is like they're so like Nazareth is kind of like their second life. You know, Garrett was a surfer here, and then he wasn't here anymore. Like he was like already like quitting surfing, and then he went to Nazareth. And
really?
Yeah, it's kind of like a second life. They are so achieved in their like this is their second life that they don't disencourage people over there. They are very welcoming because they already like are at a different level.
Yeah.
And mostly they already have peace in their heart that what they did was already enough. And now they're just doing it for fun in a way. Like it's not fun. Like they still have to train and do all of this, but it's not like, sometimes I see like, and they have so much opportunity over there. All of them have sponsors. All of them have like, they're already set in a way. So all they do is help. At least that's how I perceive them. Then here, everybody's grinding. Like there's one event, like there's no sponsorship. Like I'm not gonna tell where I'm going surfing, and like,
because there's so many people just trying to break even and make it.
Yeah.
And they're putting so much on the line, so there's so much pressure. And this is a 7-mile miracle, so there's so many people within that sacrifice so much to be here or come from here and grow up as this is the only way you're gonna make it, and there's only one of you. It's so competitive, but over there it's like this sense of just community and family, and you're taken in, and someone puts their arm around your shoulder and says, okay, I'm gonna train you on this, I'm gonna help you, and I think we need more of that.
And that's what I want to encourage here. Like this year, I'm not doing any event other than my last event. If it runs, it hasn't run for 5 years. I'm going to do the Peaje Challenge as a way of like finishing this paddle season of my life. I started like the first time I did something professional was I got invited to Peaje Challenge. I think I was 22.
So full circle.
I think that's going to be my first circle. in a way.
Mhm.
And then I want to not focus in contests here because it takes away out of my time of like being of what I want to pursue over there.
With your record over in Nazaré, yeah.
Yeah, and I just feel like there's so much more opportunity when you go to places like Europe. Like I got my sponsor there after 2 weeks of being there.
Wow.
I've been battling my whole life here, and I've been like top 10, top 12, top 12. I actually in Baggy Challenge I got number 7. I was number 7 in the world. It doesn't mean that much because there's only 20.
Yeah.
But like I was like, whoa, maybe this is gonna be it. No. Like it's so hard here to make it. And like it's not about getting sponsorship, but if you knew how expensive it is, like you need support.
Yeah.
You need support if you want to do it for real. So
it's not a cheap sport to pick up.
No. So I think like leaving this behind and seeing how I see so many new competitors, for example, coming into big wave surfing, and I see myself in them 12 years ago almost. And I was like, whoa, that is crazy. And like they have some like, this is the opportunity of my life. I got into this event and I see how, and I was like, life hasn't been hard for them. Hopefully it never is. Or maybe, so they build character. I don't know. But I'm like, that's so nice to see people with that fresh, that I want to be fresh again.
Yeah.
And Nazaré has given me that opportunity of like.
Nazaré has made you fresh again.
Yes, like beginner's eyes. Because even though I'm not the best, like, I don't know, surfing a Jaws, I sometimes don't even get a wave. Or like, I'm not the best big wave surfer. And I'm very aware of that. I've been doing it for so long that you become kind of like.
Almost like jaded in a sense.
Yes, and it's like I don't surf one man unless it's like 20 up because I get stressed out within the crowd when it's small. I don't surf this place unless it's like perfect, and I don't like doing this because. And then in Nazaré, I'm like a true beginner. Even though here I am too, I already have like stiff mind in a way. So when I go there, I got the opportunity of like everything is new.
Yeah.
So it's been amazing, really.
That's so exciting.
Yeah, and I hope to share that, now that I'm taking a step back and I'm just doing it for fun, like it should have been since the beginning, but you need money to do it. I just want to see like that freshness again that I see in some of the girls, Yeah. Yeah.
So speaking of that, how do you make sure that you maintain a good mindset when it comes to big wave surfing and don't get jaded and have those fresh eyes? What would be your insights? Because you've seen it all at this point.
I've seen it all, I guess. I'm one of the, I would say like I consider myself middle generation of big wave surfing. First it was like Jamila, Sylvia, Paige, and all these girls. And it was like the middle, it was like Emily Erickson, Rena, me, Raquel. And now I'm like, some of the girls are already retiring.
Wow.
So I guess I'm like going up in the
ranks.
Yeah, and the time rank, I want to say like surfing rank.
Yeah.
But, I've seen big wave surfing heal people, but I also seen them getting destroyed by their own mind. And it's been an interesting thing. I've lost most of my friends due to like event politics.
Really? That's sad.
Yeah, it's really sad because people, it's like, this is my chance, I gotta do it. And like, it messes up so much and it takes away from like the essence of true big wave surfing. Sure, you need sponsors, you need this, you need that, but mostly you need to do it because you love it. And sometimes I would get so stressed about certain things, like the way they ranked my waves or like the way things were being run, that it was taking so much about what I needed to worry about that I was like, I never want to worry about a result ever again. That's why I said record attempt. Because if I don't get it, I'm fine. I just want to try, So I think that in order to keep a beginner's mind, you have to try to stay away out of anything that does not resonate with your beginner mind. Remember how you felt at the beginning. Remember, like, I would write a lot. My first time at Jaws, I was so sentimental. I was like, I can't believe I'm here, and I didn't even got a wave. So I was so like proud of myself for trying, and like that's what I want to see now. Like I want to be proud of myself for trying.
Yeah.
Like where is that person? I cried the whole night before Jaws because I was like, I can't believe I made it to Jaws. I didn't even get a wave, but I made it. And it was just like now I demand so much of myself that I feel like beginner's mind would be something that would change everybody's life forever. And sure, there's people that are competitive, and competition brings life in them. So then that's good. But for me, competing is not like my
And all be all.
what drives me. So if people want to stay with a good mindset, they just have to be willing to know that it's going to be hard. Be comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's one of like my best quotes that I can say to anybody. And I think freediving has helped me a lot. Freediving, because I think I like balancing it. When you go really high on a wave, you have to go really low in the ocean to have the whole depth of the experience.
Yeah.
And freediving gives me a lot of like, there has to be another way to achieve great things, you know? And maybe multiple ways. So having a flexible mind, it's really hard. When you do it for so long, you start thinking there's a way that you do things and that's just the way. And I'm a very like, I would say unflexible mind. I have like stiff mind. So having a flexible mind, thinking like, maybe like even with things like in the morning, when you go surf Waimea, I go and like drink 10 cups of coffee and I'm like, yeah, I'm going, it's huge. Yeah, let's do this. When I used to go in freediving events, I'm like, I can't drink coffee and I gotta send myself out. And that's the more calm is when you like do the best, perform the best.
Do you think that's on big waves too?
I think you just have to find your way of doing your little rituals. Maybe this ritual is not working. Maybe what you're eating is not working. Like so many other things that you can do to keep a flexible mind. So I would say be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Beginner's mind, always have a beginner mind. Try to see it as the first time you saw it.
Always try and learn.
Always try and learn. Like there's gonna be times that you don't get a wave and you have to learn from that. And the last thing is having a flexible mind. You thought you were gonna go this way and no, you went this way, but you ended up in the same place.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those three things I think are really important. You can make a lot of plans to get to the goal, and most likely they're not gonna happen this way. They're gonna happen like this way. So it's always having a flexible mind that sometimes like you're gonna find setbacks or roadblocks, but you still can make it to the goal. And knowing that even though we don't have all the time in the world, we're getting older and like some people wanna be mothers and there's multiple things. You have more time than what you think.
Yeah. What I'm hearing is like, most of the time we think of a goal and we say point A, point B. Let's get to point B, right?
Yeah.
And we draw this straight line and we're like, if I do this, and that, it's stepping stones to get me there. But in reality, it's this huge mess of zigzags and ups and downs and twists and turns and going back and going forward to get there.
And you have to be willing to put up with the lowest lows because there's not going to be a time where you just get there.
And that's where your why comes in. So that when it's in those low moments, you're like, why am I even doing this?
Yeah.
And you have a strong why and you can go back to that. And then you can also say like, I heard it said like, the people who don't get to their goals are the people that gave up. So if you don't give up, you're gonna go.
I would say like,
you just have to do the right thing.
Honestly,
right?
Every goal that you like, sometimes I'm like, when I go to Jaws, for me, Jaws, I have a really like love and I don't want to say hate, but like complicated relationship with packing.
Yeah.
And I get kind of like mind blocked when I was younger, I used to get waves over there because my mind was more flexible, beginner. I didn't wipe out. Last year I ended up in the rocks unconscious. It was such a weird moment.
That's so scary.
Yeah, and I think like sometimes I find myself over there and I'm like, oh, maybe I'm not a good surfer because I didn't get a wave again. And I was like, you can get a wave anywhere you want when you put enough time. And enough time for me, it might be different enough time than for you. And I just have to be like very conscious of like, you're gonna get good if you put the time. And maybe you have to come here and not get a wave for 50 more times. But if you don't give up, there's gonna be a time that the wave is gonna come and you're gonna go. And then I see myself like how I surf Waimea Bay. I surf it I enjoy surfing Waimea Bay when it's very big. I don't know why, it's like a puzzle and I like solving it and like, I love like the game of Waimea Bay when it's really big. So for me, I know that not always it was like that. I used to be like scared to be in people's way or like, what if somebody really good is behind me and I don't make it? And like, And it just took a lot of years for me to feel this way here because I put my time. Then I go to Sunset Beach and I feel like I can surf Sunset Beach with my eyes closed. Like, I don't fear sunset. Some people are like, oh, it's so gnarly. It's like, for me, it's like a playground. But I don't surf pipeline. And there's no chance that I would surf pipeline. But then somebody was like, do you think you would be good at pipe? And I was like, well, it takes a different level of skills that I'm sure if I start right now, I'm going to be decent in 10 years. It's just like, what do you want to focus your attention and what do you want to like put your time in? So if you have a strong why and you have a set of goals that you want to achieve, and you don't give up, guarantee you're going to make it, you know? Because yeah, some people, I wasn't talented at all. I wasn't a good surfer. I'm a better free diver by nature. And I was just very always aware of that.
You knew that you weren't necessarily a pipeline surfer, but you knew that if you had put in the time, like let's say if you put in like 10 years of pipeline and you started today, you could get pretty decent at it.
I think yeah, for sure.
What were the things that you actually wanted to put your foundation and get decent at?
I think there are certain waves that call my attention more than others. And this is something that I want to share with you too. There's people that choose their route, and I'm going to show her as an example. Like Emily Erickson is a great example. She loves Sunset Beach and Waimea Bay. I'm sure she could have been the best surfer of any place, but she's the best surfer at these two locations. She's not interested in going anywhere else. You know, this is like her heart and soul is here. I was almost like her for a while. Like I only like surfing those two places, but then I was like, I want to expand and do other things. You know, I want to go left. I want to go do that. And that just means that the more you want to achieve or the more places you want to surf, the less good that you're going to be overall in all the places. Sometimes I go to Jaws and I don't get a wave. And I'm like, okay. And here I know I can get almost the best wave, you know, of like I can possibly get. So it's always just like knowing that if you want to be good at every place, you're going to have to put a lot of time on every place. And that's just going to take away from you being the best at one spot, if that makes sense. So there are always going to be like decisions with sacrifices going hand to hand. Like, but I'm pretty sure that if you really dedicated your time to Himalayas, then you're going to become a really good surfer by the end, you know? Everything is achievable with repetition. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like what you're saying, where if you have that very specific goal, like how you want to challenge to do that attempt at the world record, then you can set your mind on that and do all the little things to get you there. Versus if you're trying to get good at every wave in the 7 Mile Miracle and you want to be like proficient at everyone, by the time you split up your time and spend so many different things chasing down different goals, it almost becomes like you become good, but you're not like
the best
specialist.
Yeah,
or expert at one.
And you know what's the crazy thing? That there's so many phases of each wave, and unless you put like a lot of time on like systematically how they break, on what swell and this and that. Right now, what I've like encounter is like I'm not doing any other event other than Jaws. Like I said, that's gonna be my last one if it runs. I have more openness to sacrifice paddling to go towing, because when you tow, you can't paddle. Like, so you have a rope and it gets complicated to do both.
Yeah.
And like the rule here in Hawaii is like, if you see a paddler, you have to leave the area. You can tow next to a paddler.
Yeah. So
some of my mornings I've been just dedicating to go tow surfing and to get good at being a pilot. Sometimes I don't even surf. And like, sometimes I'm thinking like, oh, I gotta train. And I was like, no, actually I don't, because I'm not doing any event now. So I don't have to paddle anymore and I don't feel the pressure. And I feel like if I kept on doing both like paddle competitions and tow surfing, it gets really complicated because you have to sacrifice one or the other.
Yeah.
And like, that's why people in Nasser almost only tow surf. I still want to paddle, obviously. I love paddling like Waimea Bay, as big as it gets. I still want to do all these things, but
yeah.
I want to do them. I don't want to feel forced to do them because I have to train, if that makes sense. So when I found myself like, there's things I have to do, like train every day, but I think there's things I want to do. Like maybe I'm going to go surfing Himalayas because it looks really good and fun, you know? So like I have to go because that's where the competition is going to be, that in a way.
Making sure that you're having fun during your training process so that you actually enjoy it and it's not just like this big weight on your shoulders.
Yes, also, but knowing like you can't have it all. That's a good, like, you can't have it all. If I want to be good at Jaws, I most likely have to move to Maui. But if I made the decision to go to Nazare, most likely I'm not going to be the best one at Jaws.
That's true.
Yeah. So just be very sure with your decisions. And then, like, I am a person that I wish I could be everywhere at the same time. And like that, it gets a little bit complicated when you're like, oh, I wanted to go, like, for example, the last 12, my friends were going to go to Mavericks, but I was in Jaws. And then I was like, I asked Lucas, like, hey, would you tell me if we're there? And he's like, okay, if I have time. It's like, okay, my best, safest bet is to stay here, that I have a driver and he's really, really, really good. And I'm going to at least get to tow the wave if I don't get a paddle wave and whatever. That's what I did. But it's always like, you cannot be everywhere at the same time and you have to choose your battles. Sometimes you go to Nasser and maybe he was firing and you're like, yeah, but I'm here. And that's all that matters, you know?
You have to be present where you're at instead of just wishing you were somewhere else.
Yes. And sometimes you get like, you score, sometimes you don't. But the most important thing is that you know that when you take a decision, that is it. You took the decision and now you have to live with your decision. So like now when I found myself every morning, like I don't have to paddle anymore because I'm not doing any contest. When I want to paddle, I'll do it. I like have more time to go tow surfing and just, yeah, I miss some surf paddling, but I'm doing what I want now. So that's like really refreshing and really good for me.
You have to really refine your habits for the goals that you want to have.
Yes.
Too, so.
Yes. And just know, like, if you have 2 hours, what are you going to use your 2 hours for, you know? And sometimes I found my friends saying like, oh, I knew I shouldn't have come here. My heart told me to go there. It's like, you should have gone. Like, don't go where the crowd is going to go, like where your friends are going to go unless you want to. Like, that's another thing that I think that I wasn't very like vibing with some events. It's like they force you to go surf a place whenever, like, okay, we're going to go here and this is going to be the place. You're like, but actually I wanted to surf there. And it kind of like takes away of your like reasoning why, you know? Now I'm surfing here because there's a contest. And I think big wave surfers should be like, I'm surfing here because I want to.
Yeah.
You know?
That's really powerful. And like, it takes a lot of courage to be able to do that.
Yes.
There's this thing of like the sponsors and the eyeballs. And even if you don't have sponsors, like a lot of the girls, you want to be in the right place at the right time for someone to take your photos and videos so that you could lead this up to this or that.
So I found myself making the super hard decision that events, even though they give you like, for me now, they're a great opportunity for people that are an introduction to this sport. Or I have one of my best friends, Felicity Palmentier. She makes a lot of money paddling. She's really good. And like, she always like does good in contests. That's what I mean. And like, I started thinking like, you know, like this is just taking away out of like what I really want to do. It forces me here to be in Hawaii when I want to be somewhere else. And it forces me to do things that I don't want to do. You know, it forces me to get waves that I don't want to get. Like I like sitting very deep at Waimea Bay, and most of the time I wave, I don't make it to the channel. I make it all the way, but not to the channel. And those waves sadly were score like, oh, that's a 3-wave, like a 3-wave. Or like, and Laura Ennever's wave, that's a great example. That was scored at some of the events, like, I don't know, like 4 points or something like that. Crazy, something crazy. And then she won the Guinness World Record for the biggest wave. So it's like, that is something that I always want to keep in mind. Like your effort and your biggest wave, some people are going to recognize it a certain way and some people are not going to give a shit. Some other people are going to be like, you know what? Your biggest wave was nothing. You didn't make it. You didn't finish all the way. You didn't go to the channel, all these things. So you have to be very conscious on like, what are you going out of the situation? If it's people pleasing, it's never going to happen.
Yeah. Don't let others be the one to discount your abilities.
And even if it's like that, meaning like I'm not going to be part of any event. Of course, part of me feels like, oh, I'm kind of like, this was a little bit rebellious, I guess. But other part of me feels really happy that I get to do it when I want to do it. And I have a really good sponsor that he told me a long time ago, like, if you don't want to do this events, don't do them. I don't sponsor you for events. You don't win the events. Like, nobody cares if you got third. Like, unless you win, nobody cares.
That's so true.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm not making money. I'm not winning. This is not like what my heart is telling me. So I was like, I'm just do what I want to do. And that has been the journey lately. And sometimes it takes that. And I want to encourage everybody that if you don't feel like the system of like certain things is going with you, if you have enough courage to do it your own way, I think in the long run, you're going to get rewarded.
And you'll be happier too.
And you'll be happier too.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your story of like courage and overcoming. And you just had so many challenges, but it still brought you to where you are today. And it's made you stronger mentally, physically, all the things. And it's so exciting to see what you're doing with Big Wave Babes and how you're going to be doing more waves at Nazare and the Tow-In. So lots to look forward with you in the future. And of course, all you've done is so inspiring. So I hope that everyone listening here sees that and is encouraged by that. And then I'm going to link your social media and then stuff on Big Wave Babes so people can check it out. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Yes, thank you for having me. It was really nice telling my story, and I'm sorry if I was too long. I like talking about big waves too much.
That's good. You're excited.
Yes, thank you.